Previously, we published a video on Cheryl Bradshaw, the woman who famously rejected Rodney Alcala after his appearance on The Dating Game. Now, we'd like to delve deeper into Alcala himself. As Bradshaw wasn't the only woman he fixated on. Alcala was an American serial killer and convicted sex offender who preyed on numerous victims. Sentenced to death in California for 5 murders committed between 1977 and 1979, and sentenced to life for 2 additional murders in New York, Alcala's true victim count is unknown, but could be as high as 130. Known as the dating game killer, he earned infamy not only for his calculated cruelty, but also for a disturbing collection of over 1,000 photographs of women, teenage girls, and boys, leading to suspicions that many could be additional victims. Born in Texas on the 23rd of August, 1943, and raised in Los Angeles after his family was abandoned by his father, Alcala was a talented student and served briefly in the U.S. Army before being diagnosed with antisocial personality disorder and discharged. He went on to graduate from UCLA and later studied film under Roman Polanski at NYU. Here is a timeline of Rodney Alcala's confirmed and suspected murders. On September 25, 1968, 8-year-old Tali Shapiro was approached by Rodney Alcala while on her way to school in Hollywood. He persuaded her to get into his car by claiming to know her parents and then took her to his apartment. There, he brutally assaulted her, but a passerby noticed her being led into the apartment and called the police. When officers arrived, they found Shapiro alive but in critical condition, having been raped and severely beaten with a steel bar. Alcala escaped before his arrest, sparking a years-long manhunt. On June 12, 1971, Cornelia Crilly, a 23-year-old Transworld Airlines flight attendant, was found dead in her Manhattan apartment. Crilly had been raped and strangled with her own nylon stockings, and her body was discovered by her friends after she missed a planned meetup. It is believed that Crilly encountered Alcala as she moved into her new apartment, and she accepted his offer to help her carry furniture. Her murder remained unsolved for decades, only being linked to Alcala through DNA evidence in 2011. Ellen Jane Hover, a 23-year-old aspiring artist and socialite, disappeared on July 15, 1977. She was last seen in New York City, where she had arranged to meet Alcala, who introduced himself as John Berger. Her remains were discovered months later on the Rockefeller estate in Westchester County. At the time of her disappearance, Alcala had been living under an alias and was the last person confirmed to have seen her alive. Years later, his involvement was confirmed, leading to his conviction for her murder. Alcala murdered 18-year-old Jill Barkham, whose body was found near Mulholland Drive in Los Angeles, posed in a knee-to-chest position. She had been sexually assaulted, beaten, and strangled with blue rope ties, with bite marks on her breast. Initially suspected as a Hillside Strangler victim, DNA later linked her murder solely to Alcala. Georgia Wickstead, a 27-year-old nurse, was found dead in her Malibu apartment after not showing up for work. Police discovered signs of forced entry, and her body was found posed on the floor, strangled with nylons, sexually assaulted, and bludgeoned. DNA evidence and a handprint later connected Alcala to her murder. On June 24, 1978, 32-year-old Charlotte Lamb was found dead in the laundry room of an apartment complex in El Segundo, California. She had been raped and strangled, her body left partially clothed and posed. Lamb, who lived some distance away, was not a resident of the building, leading investigators to believe she was lured there by Alcala, who then attacked her. Her case went unsolved until forensic advancements years later tied Alcala to her murder through DNA, further establishing his pattern of targeting women and posing their bodies. On June 13, 1979, 21-year-old Jill Marie Parenteau, a computer key punch operator, left work early for a baseball game but never returned. Police found her dead in her Burbank apartment, showing signs of forced entry. She was naked on her bathroom floor, posed with pillows under her shoulders, having been sexually assaulted, beaten, and strangled. Blood evidence later linked Alcala to her murder, and a friend testified they had met him at a Club 5. On the 20th of June 1979, a 12-year-old Robin Samsu disappeared while heading to ballet class in Huntington Beach. She was last seen talking to a stranger, later identified as Alcala. Her body was found 12 days later in the Sierra Madre foothills. showing signs of sexual assault and strangulation. A friend's description of Alcala helped authorities track him down, leading to his arrest. Evidence from a storage locker, including earrings believed to belong to Samso, was crucial in his conviction. Her murder resulted in Alcala's first conviction and death sentence, marking a significant step toward justice for his victims. Unidentified photographs. In March 2010, Huntington Beach and NYC police released 120 photos by Alcala, seeking public help in identifying potential victims. Approximately 900 other photos were deemed too explicit to release. Within weeks, 21 women identified themselves, while 6 families recognized missing loved ones. However, none of the photos were confirmed to connect to unsolved cases until 2013. Police kept 110 photos online, continuing to encourage identifications from the public. Morgan Rowan. After Alcala's death in 2021, 68-year-old Rowan recounted a 1968 attack. She claimed Alcala lured her to his Hollywood apartment under the pretense of going to a restaurant. Once there, he beat and raped her, barricading the door. Rowan's friends eventually broke into the apartment through a window to rescue her, but Alcala fled before authorities were involved, evading arrest. Pamela Lamson. In 2011, investigators in Marin County linked Alcala to the October 1977 murder of 19-year-old Pamela Lamson, who disappeared after meeting a man at Fisherman's Wharf who offered to photograph her. Her body was later found near a hiking trail in Marin County. Though DNA and fingerprints were lacking, investigators believed there was enough circumstantial evidence to implicate Alcala in the crime. Christine Thornton. In 2016, Alcala was charged with the murder of 28-year-old Christine Thornton, last seen in 1977 hitchhiking after splitting from her partner in Biloxi, Mississippi. Her body, found in Wyoming in 1982, was identified in 2015 via DNA. Thornton's sister recognized her in a 2010 released photo by Alcala. Although Alcala admitted taking her picture, he denied involvement in her death. He was too ill to face trial in Wyoming. Antoinette Jean Whitaker. 13-year-old Whitaker was last seen leaving her foster home with an unidentified man on July 9, 1977. A week later, her body was discovered in Lake City, Seattle. She had been stabbed, but no evidence suggested sexual assault. Authorities investigated a potential connection to Alcala due to similarities in victim profile and time frame. Cherry Ann Greenman. 20-year-old Greenman vanished in September 1976 in Waterville, Washington, after her release from the Douglas County Jail. A photograph found in Alcala's storage locker was shown to her family, though they confirmed it was not her. Her disappearance remains unsolved, though investigators still explore a possible link to Alcala. Joyce Francine Gaunt. Gaunt, a 17-year-old developmentally disabled teen, was found dead at Seward Park, Seattle, in February 1978. She was beaten, strangled, and sexually assaulted, with her body found at a picnic site. She was last seen leaving her group home to meet a man the day before. Alcala remains a suspect, with authorities examining similarities in his known crimes. Rodney Alcala was arrested in 1979 for the murder of Robin Samso and sentenced to death in 1980, but the verdict was overturned in 1984. He was retried in 1986, sentenced to death again, but had his conviction overturned in 2001 on procedural grounds. In 2003, new DNA evidence linked him to 4 additional murders, leading to a consolidated trial on all 5 charges. Acting as his own lawyer, Alcala defended himself with eccentric tactics, including playing an episode of The Dating Game where he'd appeared. In 2010, he was convicted and sentenced to death for the 3rd time. Subsequently, he was extradited to New York in 2012, where he pled guilty to 2 additional murders and received an additional 25-year sentence in 2013. In December 2012, Rodney James Alcala changed his pleas to guilty, aiming to return to California to continue appealing his death sentence. While on death row there, Alcala passed away from natural causes at 77 on July 24, 2021, in a Kings County hospital.